Hi, you guys. Wow, I felt that super moon last night, did you? Here it is. So it's supposed to be like the beginning of a new chapter, but not just any new chapter. Like all of a sudden, technology is supposed to boom, and all of these breakthroughs are going to happen in our world that are going to dramatically change the way that we live as a society, as well as like big changes in your life are going to occur in this new chapter. So I really felt it. It was like a lot of stuff happened to me yesterday, and I was like, wow, I wonder if it's related to this super moon. I had wanted to do a live with Peggy today, but she had something she had to do. So I'm doing my video alone and a little late, not because of her, just because I had to do a lot of work yesterday. I was too exhausted to do a good job. So I waited till this morning. Anyway, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button because, as you well know, my channel's sporadic. And you don't want to miss any. Trying to stay on a schedule, but it's tough for me. All right, so let's talk about Real Housewives of Orange County. Season 18, episode, 15, recap, and gossip dump. First, I want to start out and say that I was pretty shocked, like you guys, that Tamra Judge went on her podcast and said that she found out that she was on the spectrum after speaking with, I guess, a friend of hers that was a therapist of some sort, which explains her behavior on The Real Housewives of Orange County throughout the years, I guess most especially this season, where she seems to just be a mean girl coming after Shannon Beador the entire season for no real reason. And it's kind of surprising to the fans how lethal she is about everything, especially because Shannon has a lot of fans. And so she said, well, I'm on the spectrum, and that is why I don't feel necessarily things the same way people do or whatever. So the fans got very upset by this for a few reasons. Number one, when you're on the spectrum, it doesn't mean that you lack empathy, okay? And there's a lot of scientists and doctors that have studied people on the spectrum that want you guys to know that, you know, that's not like a thing that necessarily people who suffer from autism have. Also, I spoke with Jacqueline Larita about this because she has an autistic son, and she said that you can't be diagnosed with autism in one visit with a doctor of any kind. So that was just like not real. And so whoever this doctor was that Tamra was talking to, or counselor, you know, she just sort of guessed it, I guess. Well, Tamra did apologize later because she got a lot of fan backlash about it. But I did want to spend a few seconds to say that being autistic should be something that you're proud of, not using as an excuse to explain your bad behavior. So let's just cut through the crap here. As I've been telling you guys on this channel for a long time, Tamra Judge has one thing in mind, and that is revenge to Shannon Beador, because when she got fired off The Real Housewives of Orange County a few years ago, she thought Shannon Beador was her real friend that would stay in touch and support her through that difficult time after she was fired suddenly, blindsided by Andy Cohen. Thought it would never happen, and it did, and it screwed her up financially and everything else. And Shannon Beador didn't reach out, make sure she was okay or anything, and Tamra realized that Shannon Beador is a TV friend and nothing more, and she couldn't get over it because she thought all this time Shannon was her real friend, behind the scenes for the last 10 years. Now, I didn't know why Shannon did this to Tamra, and I really was upset with Shannon over this in a way for Tamra because I know how much that hurts. But then tonight on episode 15, I figured it out why Shannon did it. Now, you guys know that I'm the influencer they keep referring to on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City season 5's big storyline right now that's breaking between Whitney Rose and Lisa Barlow. Here's the email shed trying to license my video in order to use on the show, which I quite simply said to them, if you want to use as little or as much of my clip to be a major plot point on your show, and I have no control over how you use it or the branding, and there's no remedy open to me if you don't do it properly, I said I wanted a fee of $3,000 or $3,500 or something like that, a one-time fee, and then I would be fine because I wouldn't care, because that's like an appearance fee on the show, which is pretty inexpensive, but why not? And frankly, I'm not just an influencer, I'm an ex-Bravo celebrity, and I feel like even though I'm a small character in the big scheme of things, I had my moment in the sun, and the fans really care for me, and I care for them. And I didn't feel like being just, thrown in a show that is in a different Housewives category made a lot of sense. I was like, if you pay me, I really don't care. You can do anything you want with my presence there, because you can talk crap, you can bring in Beverly Hills, I don't mind. But basically they decided that they're so cheap that they would rather not pay $3,000 to me than use my clip. So they basically generalized the use of my evidence from my show and the clip to, tell this story that is going down. And they're implying that I was told a bunch of information, asked questions by Adam, etc. Well, I am going to address that on my show on Sunday. And I hope you tune in, because I want to tell you guys the truth, okay, about who reached out regarding the jewelry. And I think you're going to be surprised. Okay, so definitely listen to Sunday's show. It's going to be a reality one this week. Okay, so I found out some gossip about Alexis Bellino, but I can't spill it here, unfortunately. So I am going to spill it in Sunday's episode with the other tea from Salt Lake in the Patreon part. Okay, just letting you know. Okay, I can give you a hint about the gossip to do with Alexis. She's a real hypocrite for judging Shannon Beador. So this happened. What? Elizabeth Vargas is going out with Jim Bellino? This is so crazy. Now, we know this isn't about getting back on the show, right? Because Jim Bellino is anti-Housewives and won't ever appear on Housewives or have his kids appear on it. So I think this is real. And they, I guess, fell into each other after meeting on a podcast, and they love golf. And so they golf together. Elizabeth has a lot of money from her first marriage, and Jim Bellino is, I guess, a successful businessman. So a match made in heaven, maybe. She likes Palm Springs. We'll see. But I thought you guys would get a kick out of this morning. What a shocking surprise. So we open up today's episode in jolly old London. Shannon and Emily are having breakfast. Shannon's like, how do I go and sightsee with these women after they treated me so terribly at the dinner that I was hosting for them, and after hosting this whole trip, which of course the producers really pay for, but still, they're also playing into the story. Okay, so, and Emily seems to have Shannon's back. Then we cut to Tamra Judge at a spa with Katie Janela. She's like, I really want Shannon to take accountability that it was a loan and that it wasn't a gift. And that's all I'm really trying to do. She always plays the victim. She always overreacts. And, but we're all kind of going, not really, because kind of everybody attacked Shannon at her own dinner. It was weird, right? And Tamra goes on and on about how Shannon lives above her means. She acts like she's a multimillionaire, but she isn't. But I suppose if she's making over $1 million a year on Housewives, she is. So I don't totally get that. But anyway, she's like, I don't think she, can afford the Burberry scarves that she gave us. And Katie's like, why would you get a facelift if you can't afford it and you're having money trouble? And this is the whole thing that goes down. But I can tell you straight up, Katie Janela, you must not be 50 plus years old, because you would know exactly why you would go into debt to get a facelift. But Tamra's not only coming after Shannon Beador, she's also coming after Gina Kirschenheiter. She said that, sorry, my Instagram's going crazy. She said that Travis was thrown down the stairs by Gina, which is why I guess they're living separately, not because of the reason we're seeing on the show. Gina, did you throw Travis down the stairs? What is going on? And then Katie Janela criticizes Shannon Beador for her spending habits. But this is laughable to the fans because, of course, Katie Janela with her first husband went bankrupt. And they had barely any money and they lived above their means and they had a bankruptcy. It probably caused their divorce. So it's kind of like, what is that saying? The pot calling the kettle black. I said it right. She must forget she's on Bravo because we know everything. So Heather goes over to try to apologize to Shannon for being a jerk and ganging up on her with Tamra Judge. And what ends up happening is Shannon pulls out handwritten receipts and she totals the amount of money that John Jansen took from her when they were together because, you know, she wanted to pay for things that he didn't want to pay for. And it was like $60,000. And they're laughing because it's messy and on notebooks and not in an organized Excel sheet. And yeah. So then we find out that Heather Dubrow does not approve of Jennifer Pedranti's Dolce & Gabbana dress, which was $2,000 because she's having money trouble and she's a single mother with multiple kids. And now she's become too reliant on Ryan and they're worried. And then we jump to Tamra Judge and Katie Janela talking about this. And Tamra's like, I can't believe she bought a $2,000 Dolce & Gabbana dress. And Katie Janela chimes in and says, look, I heard that she was going to be able to wear it to a bunch of different things and that Ryan was going to probably pay for it. And then the FBI conversation comes up and Tamra Judge says that Ryan is good friends with a bookie and travels with this bookie to gamble with him. And he's flown as a whale, which is a name that Vegas people call, you know, people who gamble a lot. They get a lot of free stuff. That the casinos were sending these whales, including Ryan, jets to go to the Bahamas and Vegas free to gamble. And so that's why Ryan was taking Jennifer Pedranti all the time to the Bahamas and I guess Vegas. But the Bahamas in particular, because remember, that's where he asks her to marry him. And he's like, this is so special to us. Well, it's so special to him and her because he gambles there. Jeez. So then the women get together and they go shopping and they separate in different groups. And pretty much what comes out is that Heather kind of attacks everyone passive aggressively and is a control freak. And she feels like she can be whatever way she wants to be on the show, but the women can't be the way they want to be without a lot of hyper criticism. So it's like probably a little bit of resentment towards Heather in the way that probably really the producers treat her behind the scenes more than anything, but they're finding a way to kind of say it on the show, the women. Anyway, they do this really funny picture, and Jennifer Pedranti's the king because she's got big dick energy. Shannon Beador is the queen because she's the queen. And the other people, Emily was to look thin and cute, so she was wearing the corset. And the young maiden was Gina because she's young. So then the women go to London to have dinner at Sketch, which is a very popular, famous restaurant. It's been around for a while. They have like pod toilets, which everyone loves to put on Instagram, etc. Anyway, they are at Sketch, and Jennifer calls out Heather for talking to Tamra about how expensive her dress was. Heather apologizes. Then Tamra apologizes, but in an asshole way, because she tries to say FBI as many times on the show as she possibly can in her apology, which was a dig that Jennifer didn't pick up on. And then they end up moving on, and it becomes between Shannon and Tamra, and Shannon and Tamra are done with each other. Tamra just seems to keep coming for Shannon no matter what happens. But of course, what is this really about? As I mentioned earlier, revenge. Tamra is getting revenge on Shannon Beador. But unfortunately, I think at the time, Tamra thought that with all the bad press Shannon was getting, the fans would be on her side. But they're really painting her in this edit as a villain. And so Shannon is still shining. And I think Tamra's going, oh my gosh, this did not play out with the fans like I thought. But there finally is a clue as to why Shannon Beador did this to Tamra Judge. not call her after she got off the show. And that is that she really feels like Tamra Judge wasn't, a good friend on the show to her, and therefore couldn't be a friend off the show to her. And so Shannon may have talked to her off the show and pretended to be friendly with her, but she never saw her as a real friend. And Tamra probably thought, oh, this is business. And being on a TV show, you know how it goes, and you forgive me, and it's all good because we're making good TV. But the truth was, Shannon wasn't thinking like that the whole time. And so Tamra's thinking she gets where Tamra's coming from, by being a bitch on the show all the time and calling everybody out, and that she's being forgiven secretly because they're on TV. But the truth is, not everyone forgives. Well, up to now, I thought Ryan Boyajian was going to definitely walk from his lawsuit, but, you're not really allowed to pull a background check just willy-nilly on anyone you want, and Tamra Judge apparently did it. She actually did a background check and sent that she was doing it to Shannon Beador. You're not really supposed to ever pull a background on anybody unless you're doing it in the course of like something that you're allowed, like an application for a rental unit or something like that, a job. So this was really shocking and I think illegal. Well, it ends with Jennifer Pedranti doing a really smart move on her part. She doesn't hesitate. She goes straight to Tamra Judge's room to call her out about the fact that she did this background check. Tamra will not own it, and she doesn't have the receipt because Shannon left with it. But what comes out is that Tamra Judge did this background check 2 years before, and Jennifer hadn't been on the show yet. Like maybe that she was casting, and so Tamra was trying to dig up dirt on her and discuss it with the cast members, like Shannon. And Jennifer is just outraged at this, and Tamra was careful to say that her real estate friend pulled it for her. She didn't pay for it. It wasn't a PI, like trying to make it less illegal. But it really isn't. You're not supposed to do that. I'm just saying, wow. Jennifer's outraged and screaming, and she has every right, and she finally loses her gasket, and Tamra has nothing really to say to it. She tries to make excuses and belittle Jennifer Pedranti, but she's just failing because she knows she's way out of line on this one. And that's it. I mean, that's the end of tonight's show. What do you guys think? Oof. I would be so upset. I'd be upset at production too. I'd be like, what? Like, you're not setting some sort of parameters of like what's legal and what isn't to do to cast members? I'm sorry, but like, that's really overstepping a boundary. And frankly, if we're going to be angry with Louis Ruelas on New Jersey about doing this type of thing, you got to be the same with Tamra Judge. And I think she went out of the boundaries on this one completely, and she's right there with Louis Ruelas. Maybe she should hang out with him.